Hello, 2 for movie Stubs, please. Oh, crud, they're reviewing that?
So,
Yes.
which other YouTube channels should we rip off?
What?
Besides the obvious.
Well, there's the angry one.
Oh yeah, the angry one, right. There's that one that nitpicks everything, every tiny little detail, you know, to a ridiculous degree.
What about the one with the red curtain?
Oh yeah, and then like rows of DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah, Blu-rays, yes.
Blu-rays, right.
You know, the red that makes you feel like you're at the movie theater, but you have the Blu-rays to make you feel like you're at home. And you know what we're really missing? We're missing a lot of toys everywhere. And the hats with the wide brims, the stickers on it, the ones that the young kids are wearing nowadays.
We wouldn't want anyone to mistake us for being man-children.
Oh, God, no.
So that's a great idea.
Yeah, let's do it. Speaking of loud, annoying, derivative, and things that just don't go well together, have you seen Venom?
Oh my God.
Giant leaps will always come at a cost.
So we saw Venom with Tom Hardy.
We did.
I could just sum the film up as just very forgetful, nothing really exciting. I don't really need to see this film. I didn't really get anything out of it. It was just kind of like, okay, I saw it.
I guess I generally agree. I thought Tom Hardy's performance was very good. I think he made the film watchable for me, mostly. The critics hated it.
Yes.
And then there's just been this big backlash of fans who've said, no, this movie's great. Like, critics don't know what they're talking about. So I think in both cases, they've kind of misstated what the film is. Like, I didn't think it was terrible. I can understand that some people would be thrown off by the strange things the film does in regards to his character and the tone of the character, especially when Venom comes into it.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me so much because I don't really have an attachment to the character or whatever. So I didn't expect anything in particular about his presentation in this film. But it was an odd combination of comedy and horror elements in some way. Like they tried to be scary and funny at the same time with the same people. So that left me feeling a little dissatisfied.
Right. Yeah, the plot's really just kind of lackluster. It's just kind of like, oh, here's the plot. All right. We all know why we're here. We're here for Venom. Let's not care about the plot too much.
Well, what do you mean by that, being here for Venom? Because I didn't feel that personal drawing going to see the movie. I didn't say, oh, I want to see this because of Venom. But I mean,
we're in the superhero craze now, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So there are so many people that are just like, hey, I really can't wait to see Iron Man fight Thor. I can't wait for this and that, and I can't wait to see this on screen.
Everybody's remembering these characters that they read in the comics, years ago. Yes. And now that everything that was ever in a comic book is now being turned into a movie. Yes. Everybody has their own, certain hero that they really liked or whatever. And I guess this is a hero that has a lot of fans that hasn't really had the same movie treatment.
I feel like that people want to go see Venom for that reason, because he is just kind of like this wow character. Like, oh my God, it's Venom. Like, you don't really go in for the plot. You don't really go in for anything else. You don't go in for the great acting or anything like that. You're just kind of like, oh, it's the alien guy with the giant tongue. That's what I feel like a lot. Yeah, that sounded weird. I feel like that's why a lot of people want to go to it. It's just kind of like why people want to go see The Predator, or Halloween. Like, oh, we get to see our favorite character come on screen again.
Yeah.
You're not going for anything else.
Yeah, and Hollywood has proven that is typically a very bankable strategy. Take an old character that everyone knows, just make a new product with it, and you're going to make $100 million or $200 million at least. So the characters, how would you describe the characters in this film?
Non-existent.
They were really flimsy. The only one that I thought resonated with me as an audience member was Tom Hardy's character.
Yeah.
Brock. Hardy did a great job with the role.
Yeah, he's the only person in this entire film that's actually worth watching.
Yeah. Everyone else is... Not only was the acting kind of flatline for me, but the writing of these characters was really thin. Take the villain, who did nothing for me. He was your very, textbook evil CEO scientist villain. Like, who kills his own people and has no moral compass.
Yeah, he was just so annoying because every single time they cut back to him, it was just evil monologue speech, and we cut back to him a lot throughout the entire film,
but for no development.
Yeah, and there's no development of it. It's just like, okay, let's cut back to him because he needs to do another speech. Like in the beginning of the film, You know, he's giving the symbiote to an inmate, and he's doing his lofty dialogue to the inmate. And it's like, why are you explaining it to him?
So the first kind of inciting incident in the film is when Eddie decides to go into his girlfriend's computer files to find a lead on a case. And that leads to his downfall because he goes to interview the bad guy, and then he brings up this secret information, and the bad guy basically burns him for it. He loses his job, he loses his girlfriend, he loses his apartment, so he's kind of thrown into disarray.
Nothing really necessarily felt organic to me. It just kind of felt like, okay, so this is what happens in a film. So this happens, and this happens, and this happens. And, you know, structurally they work, but there wasn't really any kind of thing that was like weaving them together. There was just like, okay, cut to this scene, cut to that scene, do this, do that.
Right. I think the main problem with that is that the inherent risk of the action he was taking wasn't really clear to the audience.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, wow, he's made the decision to risk his job and his relationship and all this because his girlfriend's working on this case. Like, he's made the decision to risk all these things to pursue this case. Like, that wasn't really clear to me.
Yeah.
They blew off the severity of it in the scene. He's like telling the cat, oh, be quiet, kitty, you know, don't tell her that I'm looking at these files. It would have been a lot more interesting if we'd seen him make the conscious choice to risk these things and then experience the fallout from it, and then have to pick himself back up. And like those elements would have helped it be more compelling, I think. Let's talk about Venom.
Okay, all right.
As someone who's not really a fan of Venom, I don't know really anything about him except he's an alien thing that symbiote with people.
Yeah.
He was kind of a quippy character in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how he's often portrayed?
I think he is, but it's also kind of hard because at the same time you want to contrast Venom with Tom Hardy. You know, you don't really want to have these two characters that are exactly alike, but it's difficult because they both kind of seem the same.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got. These two characters are actually quite similar in like the kind of jokey, kind of, you know, kind of oddballs.
Yeah, it seems like that they've been friends for an extremely long time, and that's not bad if they've actually been friends for a very long time.
Yeah, really the only difference between them is that Venom wanted to eat people and Eddie didn't really. That was kind of the main...
Yeah, and then if you don't have any conflict in character, then it doesn't really make it interesting.
I agree with the way you describe their relationship from the perspective of having no real conflict, because if you look at another similar relationship, say Gollum, from Lord of the Rings, Gollum and Smeagol, that was a much more compelling character.
Right.
Because you had these two characters that are pulling in different directions, you know, from inside the same person, obviously.
Yeah, it's a conflict, and you're interested to see the conflict and what's going to come out of it.
Yeah, but with Venom, there's really nothing. He's a little more violent than Eddie would want to be. That's about it.
That's kind of the issue, I feel, is that this film just didn't really give you enough time to be with Eddie or Venom. Like, there weren't any quiet moments. There wasn't anything to like actually get to know the characters. Because it just felt like it has that issue of not feeling organic. Like, you don't feel connected to anyone. You don't feel like you're interested in the story that much.
Yeah.
And even with the action is so boring. Like, that was the one thing that I was actually looking forward to, is actually seeing Venom like doing cool things, and it was just boring.
It was surprising to me that the non-action scenes were more interesting than the action ones. There was a couple neat shots. I thought, like the one shot near the end where the two Venom and Riot are kind of fighting, and they kind of split apart, and you see all the like sinews between them. Yes, that's a neat shot.
Yeah, no, that was the only thing that I was looking forward to that I saw in the trailer, was that it actually looked really cool. It was interesting to look at.
The symbiotes looked cool when they were like little blobs, and they looked all sinewy and kind of crystalline or something. It's like it was a cool effect. But when they turn into the big monsters, it looked goofy to me, which that was part of my total problem with it, is that, so Venom, for example, he looks like he does in the comics, I think. Like big rounded muscles.
Yeah.
So I just thought that his body looked silly to me.
Okay.
And then when he's talking to, you know, Eddie, it's like kind of floating there, like it's just like kind of goofy. And but they tried to present it as though it was scary or intimidating. When I'm sitting there like, that's silly.
And it's interesting because a lot of people really wanted to see this darker Venom and such. And in the first like 5 minutes of the film, you know, you see a woman get possessed by one of the symbiotes, and you see her like bone coming out of her leg, and it's like, dang, this is what the film's going to be like. And then they just kind of tone it back a little bit.
Yeah,
it was really disappointing.
Most of the violence is pretty sanitized.
Yeah, like Venom bites off someone's head, and some other stuff, but it's not really shown that much.
Well, that was the PG-13, I think.
Yeah, no, that was PG-13. Also, speaking of which, it's just such lazy writing. When you have a villain that is exactly like the main protagonist, but it's just slightly bigger and just slightly different. So, you got your Black Panther, you got your Iron Man, now you got this. It's just, can we just please stop? Can you do something more interesting instead of just having Riot?
That's the laziest kind of villain you can come up with. And that's always bothered me. Ever since I was a kid, honestly, even Venom looked like a big black Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's exactly what he is. No, because what he does is, it's interesting because in this film, they don't do Venom's powers that make him like Spider-Man. Because what he's really supposed to be doing is he has like tentacle things that like shoot out of his wrist that are just like Spider-Man's web. And then he has a giant white spider on him.
Right. Right.
They made it such a clear defining point in the beginning of the film that symbiotes will only merge with people that they find that they can actually like merge to. They kill people if you can't merge them. And so Venom's like, oh, I really like you, Eddie. We get along well. And then it's like, but then the girl gets attached, Venom attaches to her, and then she doesn't die, and then...
So she just happens to be a secondary very good match for him? Yes. I mean, lucky Venom, right?
Yeah, lucky Venom. Either that or he just likes her. He's like, no, I just get to choose who I like to be with.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of a character development thing, but it's so badly done.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
When Venom says, Eddie says to Venom, so wait, weren't you here to kill everybody on Earth? And Venom's like, originally, yes. But I changed my mind because, on my home planet, I'm kind of a loser like you.
It's so stupid. It's just so bad. Like, yeah, that's exactly what we want to hear the big badass evil symbiote to say, like, yeah, I'm a loser. And then just after that part, Eddie's like, so then tell me, Venom, why did you stay? And then just like the cheesiest, like, it sounds like it came out of Transformers, like Michael Bay's mouth. Venom says, because of you, Eddie. Oh,
that was not established at all. It was like, this was like over 30 seconds in the film. He's just like running from one place to another, chatting with Venom, and this just comes out, in a couple lines of dialogue, and that's it. So they didn't build up any sort of development, any sort of like, oh, because of the way that Venom and Eddie are interacting, Venom is changing. Like, they didn't do that at all.
Yeah.
It's just explicitly stated, oh yeah, I kind of like you, Eddie, so I'm not going to kill all of humanity. Like, I can't imagine that they would not try to make it connect with these other things. So I'm sure if they make a sequel, they probably will because it's made a lot of money.
Yeah.
They'll tie it in.
Yeah, and speaking of like sequels, that ending shot, that was just... It was so horrible. Like, you see, what's the guy's name from...
Woody Harrelson?
Yeah, Woody Harrelson. You see him, and they set him up to be Carnage, but you see that red Carrot Top wig.
It was
horrible. It looks like, oh, crap, we don't have a wig. Joe, can you go down to Party City and get me a wig? Here's $5. And then he's just like, oh, man. Like,
yeah.
It was so bad.
I mean, I didn't like this movie. I think Tom Hardy was great in it, just because he's Tom Hardy. I don't think that's worth watching it for. I mean, if you really like Tom Hardy and you really just want to see him in something, yeah, I guess you can watch it. But aside from that, there's not much that's interesting about this movie.
No, this movie is extremely passable. There's really nothing that you can latch onto and actually enjoy to it. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Just like you said, like if you like Tom Hardy, go see him. I just kind of wanted to go see Venom do really neat things, but even those were just lackluster. So, no, I would say just skip it.
Yeah.
Did you know that Tom Hardy is Venom?
Technically, that's not correct. Tom Hardy is Eddie Brock, who's possessed by Venom. I think we've got some good ideas for next week. If you get the Blu-rays in the curtain,
okay,
I'll get some hats.
And then I'll have to be angry?
Yeah, you'll be the angry one. I'll be the picky one. Yeah.
Okay. Can we do a thing where we put our faces in the thumbnails in every single clip? Like,
that's what people click on.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
we should absolutely do that. Okay. Yeah, well, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think we're making our name for ourselves on this YouTube movie review circuit pretty quickly with these sort of ideas.
Yeah. You know, a thought just occurred to me. Wouldn't it be easier if we were just original?
That would be way too much work.
Yeah, okay, we'll just go with your idea.